Issue that was raised, huge issue during the referendum, oil, the price of oil, the value of oil, North Sea oil generally. Jeremy Lane, thanks for your question. Could the First Minister explain how he would have managed independence with oil at $80 a barrel and heading south? The Scots had a very narrow escape.
Well, Mr Lane must be very confident if he knows where the price of oil is going to be next week, never mind next year, or in 2 years' time of independence. But I did note that the OPEC bulletin, and OPEC are controlling the price fall at the present moment. What's happening is Saudi Arabia are flooding the market in order to drive out fracking production in America. Now, they're doing that for a purpose, to regain control of the market. Therefore, it's quite significant that I think the OPEC bulletin was predicting oil, I think $170 by 2040. That's the objective that OPEC have, and you'd be a brave person to assume that the oil price falls are going to continue. Far more likely that OPEC will regain control of the marketplace. What you can say,
but you might also have been a brave person to have accepted your perspectives of Scotland's economic status and spending status when you were calculating on oil at about 130 to 120 and above.
Well, we weren't actually.
113.
So no, we were calculating a price of $110 in our calculations, which is the average price over the last 2 years. That's a declining price, incidentally, in real terms. I still think that's a reasonable forecast over the medium term. I wouldn't base it on OPEC's price of $170 or the OECD's price or even the CBI last week. Very, very few people believe that what's happening to the price of oil just now is anything other than a temporary price war in order to regain control of the marketplace.
And you don't think it would have damaged an independent Scotland? Well, we wouldn't have been independent by now, certainly. We talked about it in 2016.
As I was pointing out in the Scottish Parliament last week, Norway, I think, is earning something like 200 million a day from its oil fund at the present moment, and has done for many years. So when the price of oil is high, when the price of oil is low, and it's an example of what you should do with a resource, that you should have an oil fund.
But so starting from today, or starting from 2016 as independence, wouldn't Scotland be facing...
Well, you just made the point for me, Brian. We would be starting from 2016, therefore a fair assumption in 2016. But once you can handle the resource, then that's what you should do. Incidentally, there's something else has happened, if I could say to Mr Ling, in the last few weeks. We've seen a series of discoveries announced in the central North Sea and elsewhere. It seems to, as I was mentioning yesterday, surprising that so much information has been gained about these new discoveries in the weeks since September the 18th. Now, why that's interesting, of course, that's not an estimate of what the price of oil might be. These are definite discoveries of the quantities of oil that are there, and I think we'll have substantial quantities of oil and gas around the waters of Scotland for the next half-century and much more. I think there's huge amounts to come. There's vast unexplored areas in the west coast of Scotland. And I think over that period of time, that period of half a century and more, then we'll tend to find that the price of oil will be going up rather than down.
Are you suggesting, as some have done, that those discoveries were deliberately played down, deliberately obscured during the referendum campaign?
No, I'm just saying it's interesting. It's an interesting coincidence that so many discoveries have been so recently announced.
No more than that.
I made the point, Brian.